Plaintiffs Jody Breeden and his fiancée Jessica Burns say Jessica became addicted to pain pills at an early age, but she's now clean and sober. Jessica is suing because she claims they paid the defendant for a trailer, but he never gave it to them. Defendant Chris Bowman admits he agreed to sell a trailer to the plaintiffs until Jessica made death threats against him and he was forced to call the police. He's countersuing for harassment.
All rise. This court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Greg Mathis presiding. You may now be seated.
How are you all?
First and foremost, Your Honor, I'd like to say thank you for having us on your show. You have a big following back in Marion, Wisconsin.
Is that right? Oh,
yes,
right.
you do.
Tell them I said hi.
We definitely will when we get back. I'd like to give you a little background about myself. I didn't always have the easiest life and everything. I was a teen mother. Also had surgery when I was 16 years old, knee surgery. Was put on painkillers then. Started a long road of addiction. Took care of my daughter for many years, got off the pills, had another surgery, more pills, more addiction. Forward to 2011.
How did you get addicted from it?
In my family, there was a lot of addicts.
Well, what was your interest in continuing to take them beyond the 12 or 14 days?
Honestly, it was the high. No, it was the high of the medication.
See, and that's the point. I don't get high when I take this stuff after I had 2 surgeries. 3. 2 in the back and 1 on my elbow, and I don't get high. What was the high like, and did you take more to get high?
Oh, yes, I did. After a while, it began
No, not after a while. Those first 12 or 14 days, were you feeling high?
No, I was just taking care of the medication, or just the pain.
How did it convert to being high after those 12 days?
It was 3 to 4 months of being on painkillers because I had broken my knee and had a cast from my ankle all the way up to my hip that I had to be in for a long period of time. And this was while I was really young. I also saw family members that took pills and saw how they behaved, and it was a norm in my family.
I was trying to get to the high part. No one has been able to tell me the type of high. Not out of heroin, you're in a euphoria. Smoke crack, you're in a euphoria of sorts. Snort cocaine, you're in something. Ecstasy, you love everybody. There's some type of high to every thing that addicts you. So you can't tell me if there's a high attached to the addiction.
Yes, sir, there was.
What's
there was
the high
a euphoria.
like?
It was, for me, it was escaping reality. Euphoric, happy, I didn't care about anything, nothing mattered to me anymore.
Okay.
I just wanted to feel that feeling I got from the pills.
And see, a euphoria of sorts.
Yes, sir.
And makes you just feel overall good.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. We got to stop them from using. That's a crisis in this country.
It is, yes, sir.
Where do you know the defendant from?
We have known each other. We've been neighbors for the last almost 2 years. We've known each other for about 3 years.
How's that been?
It was very good up until this issue that we have that we're going to court over now.
Good. And
it was so well that I watched his son. Even during the lockdown, I would have his son from Monday night until Friday afternoon.
Why?
He worked third shift, and I knew that his son would be okay over at my house, and I could take care of him.
Father?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Good. All right. So you want to give me some background?
Like she said, I'm just a single father. I've had my kid for about 5 years now.
Now he seems like he feels it when he takes them.
Huh? No.
See, he laughing, he happy.
No.
I'm with you now. Okay, I see what you do.
Yeah, I mean, as far as the relationship goes, everything was good up until this deal for this trailer.
Okay. You tell me why you're suing him.
It was back in July. We did find out that he was being evicted from the trailer park, and that they would need to tell him, or they had told him, the landlords of the trailer park told him that he had 14 days to move. If he wanted to avoid going to court, he would need to sell the trailer and move out within those 14 days. We wanted to buy it from him so that we could move in there. We were staying with friends at the time.
Vultures.
Vultures?
Take advantage of the man. Wait until he die. Essentially, get put out. Same thing.
No, sir.
Catch him at his lowest moment and give him 2 cents on the dollar.
No, sir. We
Don't
offered
pay him the market price.
Of that trailer, yes, we did.
No, you didn't. I don't know what he's going to say, so let me let you finish your testimony.
Yes, sir.
He may even say, I never sold it. All right, go ahead.
I had written out a bill of sale where the trailer was going to be $2,000 was the purchase price. We gave him $14,000 in cash, or $1,400 in cash. I am sorry.
Told you.
$1,400 in cash.
Go ahead.
We gave him $1,400 in cash, and the rest was going to go towards 7 weeks of babysitting that he had still owed me, along with I had paid the.
Hold on, you
Yes,
say
sir?
still owed you for babysitting. Maybe we passed that too quickly. What was the agreement on babysitting?
In the beginning, when it was during the lockdown, it was supposed to be $150 a week
correct.
because I kept his son from Monday night until Friday afternoon. I would have his son at my house. I was doing the schooling with him at home. I brought his son from D's to straight A's. We wanted to buy it from him so that we could move in there. We were staying with friends at the time.
Vultures.
Vultures.
Take advantage of the man. Wait until he die. Essentially, get put out. Same thing.
No, sir.
Catch him at his lowest moment and give him 2 cents on the dollar.
Plaintiffs Jody Breeden and his fiancée Jessica Burns are suing their neighbor, who claims he called the police after Jessica made death threats against him.
How many of those weeks and did it change? You said
Yes, sir. He did lose his job when he was working third shift. He did lose that job.
When did things change?
I believe that was I believe it was in May, right before school had ended.
May of this year?
Yes, sir.
And it changed to how much?
He had lost one job and he started another. So when I gave him a couple of weeks to get a paycheck, I told him after he got things situated, $75 a week would be perfectly fine.
Okay. And do you think the amount you're suing him for today, it includes everything? It starts at May 21
Yes, sir.
with regard to the babysitting?
Yes, sir.
So
there were
everything
3
you're
weeks
suing
in May that he had owed me for.
$75.
Yes,
That was
sir.
never agreed upon, Your Honor.
That's what we have to know. Who has proof that it was agreed upon?
Unfortunately, I do not have proof of what we had besides text messages that I could
Did you
not.
pay her anything?
I paid her as I could afford, yes.
How much?
If it was $50 a week, it was $50 a week.
You don't recall any payment?
Yeah, I made
what
payments.
I'm asking
Yes.
You
There was.
say if it was 50. Give me an example.
I don't know. After rent
Don't
and everything
know.
else, it was probably
Probably.
close to about $100.
Don't know, probably close to. So I'm going to have to believe her. She
Yeah,
sounds like
there's
she knows
just no
exactly
receipt
what
on it
she's
or
talking
anything else,
about.
so.
Go ahead, ma'am. And you purchased the
We did purchase the property with the bill of sale, and the bill of sale does say for $2,000. We did give him $1,400 in cash in 3 different payments.
Okay,
And
let's get to the rent.
the rent was I paid August lot rent, and I paid the deposit for August. And he yet still resides in the trailer.
Pardon me?
He still resides in the trailer.
Okay, and how much are you asking for?
I'm asking for my $1,400 back that I gave him in cash. I'm asking for the amount of babysitting that is owed to me for the 7 weeks.
How
And
much is that exactly?
$525.
Okay. You all have any evidence of exchange? of
I do have
communication?
the bill of sale
Pardon me?
I do have the bill of sale of the home.
Why did he say he didn't move out?
Never gave me a reason why he didn't move out.
Okay.
I
Let me
just
go to him now, sir. What do you want to
I
tell me
gave them
about the purchase and whether you moved out, and if not, why?
All right. When it came down to it, we agreed on $1,400 or the $2,000 as the sale price. The back child support was never part of that agreement. That was being paid separately. I never moved out because she never finished paying the $2,000. She told me I didn't deserve the other $600 and expected me to be out I believe on the 15th of August.
What do you say to that, ma'am?
I already gave
Your
her
Honor, I do have
next week.
evidence of messages between myself and Mr. Bowman. I believe that would be starting on page 2 of the evidence. This was on August 12th that I had messaged him, asking him. I said, he replies to me, I messaged that to Jesse or Jody. I do not remember off the top of my head. Never blocked, just ignored. I said, okay, will you sign the revised bill of sale? I'm not the one to bring it over. I can leave it on the door and just leave it on, you can just leave it on the table. And are you moving out on Sunday, the 15th? That was the revised bill. He says, well, that information would be between me and the landlord, but yes, I'm willing to take a look at it. I said, according to their emails, they are staying out of it. The sale of the trailer is between you and us. Page 3 is where that continues. And it says, or a straight answer, then it will be handled differently. I'm just trying to come to a conclusion to this matter. He said that would depend on the revised bill of sale. I had told him I will rewrite it, put a copy on your porch, or have someone bring it to you. I just want to deal with this. If we cannot come to a conclusion, then we'll take further action.
Bill of sale. This doesn't even talk about the amounts you're discussing.
No, sir.
Next page,
The bill
well,
of
the plan
sale.
so far is a full refund.
Yes, sir.
Of the 14.
Page 4 of the 1,400.
Sir, what do you say to that?
I said
I'd
I'd
give a full refund.
Yeah, I had, received that $1,400. I didn't feel it was, mine after they had broke the contract, so I already had planned to refund that. All right, and then they started with the death threats, and
Okay,
that
ma'am
starts on
said he
page 1 of
intended
that
to
evidence.
refund it.
He intended to refund it, but never did.
He says because he started death threats.
Your Honor, I'd like to address that. It was not a death threat in any way, shape, or form. He is using my paganism against me. I had wrote a sigil on a piece of paper that said to banish a toxic person from my life, and I put it on his door. It was not a death threat. It's as if I was burning sage at his front door, just to banish a toxic person from my life.
All right, I'm just wondering, that toxic person in my life, that sounds like someone who've been together.
Oh, no, sir.
Well, you don't have to put no sign up on the door. You should stop talking to him.
Your Honor,
My
it
neighbor
was-
do something offending me, I don't put no sign up. This is toxic. I can't be in a toxic relationship anymore. No, I ain't doing none of that. You come to my door, what you want? I just want to know, nothing. Get out of here. Don't come over here anymore.
This was done after he stopped what he blocked me, or as he says, he just ignored my messages and refused to speak with me.
Okay. And he refused to speak with you, but he did tell you he planned to give you a full refund.
Yes.
All
From
right.
that day, that was only sent on Snapchat because everything else he had ignored and blocked me on.
after,
Recall any payment?
yeah, I made payments.
asking.
Yes. There was,
If it was 50, give me an example.
I don't know, after rent
Don't
and everything
know.
else, it was probably
Probably.
close to about $100.
Don't know, probably close to.
Plaintiffs Jody Breeden and his fiancée Jessica Burns are suing their neighbor, who claims he called the police after Jessica made death threats against him.
The emotional distress, how does he owe you for that?
When the supposed death threat was put on his door, he called the police on me, saying that I had made a death threat against him, that he was in fear for his life, for his son's life, and all this other stuff. Well, with the police coming over and all the stress of all this, I have epilepsy, Your Honor, and it led to having 4 seizures in a row.
Let me hear about the refund, the reimbursement of rent, and the emotional distress.
If I can go back to the death threats, Your Honor, when I first got these on the door,
No, you can go back to whether you want to defend yourself about the refund and the reimbursement of rent.
all right, well, that does lead directly to the death threats. I had taken my son out of the house. I no longer felt he was safe there. It cost me to lose a job because I didn't feel safe leaving my house unattended with animals in the house.
So you did what?
I had to call in for work one day, and they fired me
Your
for
Honor, I
it
object.
because I was not going to be
How
there.
does that have to do with the
Well,
agency? The money?
That's the my counterclaim is what that is for.
Yeah, do you remember I asked you to address the refund, the reimbursement, and her allegations? Instead, you jump to what you want to talk about. So I'm going to find that as no answer. And when you don't give an answer, you lose.
Well,
you want to answer now?
I already told him that I would give him the $1,400 back.
What happened with the refund?
Oh, well, as when the death threats happened and loss of work and all that.
Do you agree you owed it back?
Yes, I agreed I owed that $1,400
All right, so you
back.
don't want to pay because of threats and reimbursement of rent. Do you believe you owe rent?
No.
All right, and you say owes for what time frame?
For August, the month of August, it is $225 for the lot rent.
For what?
For the lot rent. Where the trailer resides, and $225 for the deposit for the month of August, and he lived in there that month. I am seeking that money back.
So it's really just August?
Yes, sir. Just August.
You pay your rent and deposit in August?
I paid $250, half of rent. The other half was covered by the
Your Honor, I object.
renter's assistance.
By whom?
Renter's assistance.
Okay, you have any evidence of any of that?
No, that's all on emails.
Did you know you were being sued for this today?
Yes, sir.
You didn't have any proof of what you did?
I didn't
the
think
renter's
that was
assistance form or the renter's assistance check stub or anything? Nothing?
No, I didn't think that was
guess you
pertinent.
wouldn't have anything if he hasn't paid anything.
No, I actually do have.
And sir, you've been inconsistent and confused about what are the money issues. You've said you think, maybe, probably. So I can't just take your word. If you don't have evidence, I'm going with her word. She seems very clear.
I believe it's page 12 of our evidence packet. It is from the landlords of the trailer park, page 12.
What does it indicate?
It is the invoice from what we paid for August for the lot rent and for the deposit for August.
Okay, but he's supposed to pay you, right? Reimburse you?
Yes.
That's what I'm asking you, ma'am.
He was supposed to move out in August. He never did.
Ma'am, let's talk about the money. Was he to reimburse you what you paid?
No, because that was for us to move in.
He's supposed to pay it directly? Why have you directed me to page 12? What am I to learn
That is
about
the
this
invoice
case?
from our landlords, from the renters of the lot.
Who paid? You want reimbursement for?
Yes, I paid for August.
That's what I'm asking you. And he never paid you anything?
No, he did not.
Toward this?
No, he did not pay me anything
And you
towards that.
say
That
you
came out of my
did
pocket.
pay?
No, I paid the landlord directly to his bank account. I did not pay them.
Okay, well, the landlord has a
for that.
bill here showing that they paid it. So I'm going to dismiss your claim. I don't believe most of what you say. So I'm going to dismiss it based on perjury. And I'm going to grant your judgment because I believe what you've been saying, and you've offered proof of what you've been saying. Have a good day.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Judgment.
Thank you, sir.
If you just would have followed through as a man and spoke to us decently, we could have worked something out to let you stay there through August and until you found a place to live, rather than having to put it through here.
Well, it would have been fine if I wouldn't have got the threats, because I had to uproot my entire life. Because
I'm
you
sorry,
decided
but
to
your
threaten
son
me.
was gone on July 26th. That's the last picture I
If you were
have
so
with him.
threatened about it, why didn't you press charges
Or move.
or move?
I filed a police report.
No,
I
you
think I
didn't.
needed to take it any farther.
There is no
Nothing.
police report within
Nothing.
Marion County.
Have a good life. Don't talk to us no more.
No, thank you, please.
Plaintiff Valerie Warren grew up in the projects of Chicago. And back then, people fought with their hands and apologized soon after. Valerie wanted better for her own children, including her daughter, the defendant. But she's suing her because she failed to pay for a car that was in Valerie's name. Defendant Sharday Hood admits Valerie always wanted the best for her, but she still ran the streets when she was younger. However, Sharday turned her life around at the age of 19 after her first child was born. And she feels as though her mother should be more understanding of her situation.
All right, give me some background here.
Okay, I came from a two-parent home where my mom and my dad always taught me, when we was growing up to provide, for our families, when we have it. My dad worked two jobs. He was in the armed forces, whereas he was in the Navy. I grew up in Chicago Housing Authority on the west side.
In the office?
Excuse me?
In the office?
No,
You said in the housing authority.
I say I grew up in housing.
In the housing authority. The housing authority is
yeah, I
the
lived
administrative
there. I lived
office
there.
of the projects.
You live next
So
to the
you
water
want me to
cooler.
say the
You
project?
live next to the water cooler.
I grew up in Chicago Housing Authority on the west side.
In the office?
Excuse me?
In the office?
No, I
You
said
said in the housing
no,
authority.
I say I grew up in housing.
In the housing authority. The housing authority is
yeah, I
the
lived there.
administrative
I lived
office
there.
of the projects.
Plaintiff Valerie Warren is suing her daughter, who admits that she ran the streets as a teen, despite Valerie's best efforts to keep her on the straight and narrow.
Or public housing.
Yes, I grew up in Chicago Housing Authority, which it was the projects
Okay.
on Lake Street. I grew up in that neighborhood where I watched the Chicago Stadium turn into the United Center. We grew up with mentors in our life, which we had Chicago police officers that was in our lives, which he's now deceased. His name was Freeman. He worked, I think, out of the district of on Wood Street.
Officer Freeman, he worked where?
And he worked out of Wood Station, right off from the projects where we live.
Wood Station outside. What was the name of the project? Cabrini Green?
No, Henry Horner,
Henry Horner? Okay.
right off of Lake Street.
Yeah. All right. Want to give him his due because
Yes.
he did a good
Yes,
job
he
in the
did a good
community.
job, you
That's
know,
called community
he was-
engagement.
yes.
And
He was like a mentor in our lives.
Good.
And we had, I grew up in playing at the Chicago Boys Club, which it was for boys and girls. We was, we had a lot of things going on in the neighborhood as far as when we was growing up, but I still say that it's nothing like today. We fought with our hands, we didn't fight with guns. If we fought, it was always that we went back and apologized and, and we became friends later on, in life. But
okay, so you got part of the difference now, and that's guns. The other part is what? In what years did you move?
and I was there from birth, which in 1962 I was born there,
Mm-hmm.
and we left the projects, I would say, in 1982. That was after I graduated.
1982.
Yes, 1982.
About a year before all the guns and drugs came.
Yes.
That's why you had that lifestyle. And I'm
Yes.
glad you pointed that out, that, low wage or
Yes.
poor folks who live in poor communities, back then, a la Good Times, that was in a Chicago housing projects
Yes.
or public housing, and you didn't see him engaged in crime, shooting or using drugs.
No.
He stuck it out because there weren't as many drugs and guns.
Yes.
And you hit it right on the head as an explanation as to why these kids are shooting each other. It's not necessarily because of drugs. That's less of a factor than these little beefs
Yes.
and fighting, things
Yes.
that would have occurred with as a fist fight,
Yes.
now is a gunfight.
Gunfight, right.
That's what you're seeing, America, in Chicago and in these major cities. How did that occur? Deregulation of guns.
Yes.
Everybody has guns.
Yes.
And they end up in the hands of the criminals.
Yes.
Because the criminals, I'm guilty of that, used to break in the houses of people that we knew had guns. We were crazy enough to break in police houses because we knew the police had guns. So we know their shift, and we bring it out.
Yes.
I can admit all this now. Time limited. All y'all know I'm from where I'm from.
Right.
So I say that to say it was very hard to get a gun. That's the only way we can get one.
Right.
Some of my buddies used to break in the gun store.
Right.
We had a gun shop. They used to go through the roof at night and then get the guns. So it was very difficult.
Yes.
So it's the dumping of the guns. Like you said, life was all right
Yes, it
living in poverty before the guns. Then came crack cocaine. Yes, crack epidemic. Yes, now they're flooding us with opioids. And so that's what we've seen. That's what destroyed what you just heard her describe. That was exactly. And we that wanted to be thugs and hoodlums, all we could do was fight. We had whatever we can do, knife, and if you were the big man, was able to get a hold of a gun. Drugs, sold the weed. Only the big cats sold heroin. Seems like there's always a coincidence between war and drugs.
Right.
Vietnam War, dumped heroin. Heroin went out of style for a long time, right? It was only crack, right? Mm-hmm. You know when heroin came back? Afghanistan War. And you look it up, don't take my word. Look up President of Afghanistan, who we were friendly in helping. His brother, look it up, New York Times. You'll find an expose where he flooded the world. So, folks who like to look at folks in the neighborhood who are desperate for money and will kill the pain of their desperation through the use of drugs or sell drugs out of desperation, fight with guns because of the anger and the hostility that exists when you're suffering from poverty and deprivation and failed school systems. All of that has some exterior forces. Because we were all poor for a while, and you didn't see black folks doing all this until those guns came and the drugs came. And not that it was, I'm not one that says it was a conspiracy. No, it was an opportunity for exploitation. You see an opportunity, you say, they're poor, they're desperate, they're angry, they're sad about their condition, give them some drugs, get that off their mind, and we can make some money too. We can make some money by selling them drugs. That's the main place we need to sell some drugs. Then guns. Want to make some money off guns? You got hostile, angry, violent people living in the conditions that anybody would be angry about, abject poverty. So, we got them there. They'll buy some guns. So let's focus selling our guns to them. We can make some money. Kill each other? Fine, good. No problem with us. No. We don't want them to kill each other. Let's create mass incarceration so they can go to prison, come back out and buy some more guns. We don't want to kill our business.
Plaintiff Valerie Warren is suing her daughter, who admits that she ran the streets as a teen, despite Valerie's best efforts to keep her on the straight and narrow.
Sorry, folks, but I had to teach. Y'all need to know that. And y'all need to thank Miss Warren for bringing that to us, and then thank me for bringing a little clarity to it. Thank Ms. Warren. Thank you so much. This is one of the most important things that people need to know in society today, because people are confused. They're confused about the current rash of violence, which is a result of guns, but more so, it's that anger. And guess where that anger is coming from right now? Duh! Pandemic! I've been locked in the house for a year. I'm mad. I'm angry. Not alone. You better not even look at my toe, let alone step on it. Else I'm ready to take this anger out on somebody. I'm ready to explode on somebody. I've been in the house, broke, all these people running around the house. I don't know who got what. It's 6 to the house with 2 bedrooms and 6 of us living there. This is an obligation I have to let society know what I have observed and learned, both through scholarship, meaning reading extensively, analyzing, knowing politicians, knowing their mindset, being in these meetings, now being on these Zooms over the course of a year. I know what's happened. And I have to let you all know. And that's what this violence all around America is pent up anger. People are still angry because they haven't been able to return to their lifestyle. And when a person is angry with a gun, they shoot. Mm-hmm. So thank you once again. And You sound like you must have grown up a little more privileged, and I hope so. Tell me about your background growing up.
Okay, so my background growing up, I still stayed in Chicago, but as we got like a little older, maybe like 15, I'm 32 now. So like at 15, she ended up moving us to the western suburbs. And like I said, she always wanted the best for us or whatever, but I was still young and wanted to hang in the streets, and instead of me being out
Had you lived in the projects until you were 15?
No. We didn't stay in a project. It wasn't that
Did you live
bad.
in a poor area until 15?
Yeah, and then she ended up moving us into Lombard, Illinois.
Okay. What ages did you live in a poor area?
Up until 15.
15, yeah.
Like
Those
14,
are your
15.
formative years. And so by the time you moved out, you had already been formed.
Yeah.
And so,
Very much
yeah, that's
so.
why you went out there in the suburbs doing what you used to do, because you were who you were back then.
Yes.
But you had to do a lot to change. And I say that. Everybody is like they are when they're a product of their environment. That is a fact. But you can change. I was a product of my environment. I changed. So it sounds like you may have as well. So you went out there trying to be street like you were in Chicago, but I know what happened. Wasn't nobody else out there trying to be street.
And that's the reason why I would run back to Chicago. So I stayed ripping and running until maybe I was like 19. That's when I had my first child. So once I had my first child, that actually changed me. Because the only thing I was thinking about was my kid at the time.
Good.
So working, taking care of my kids, that's pretty
That's
much
been
it.
your life.
Yep.
How many you have now?
I have 2.
Okay.
They're 12. No, my son is 11 and 12. Yep.
Okay.
Plaintiff Valerie Warren is suing her daughter, who admits that she ran the streets as a teen, despite Valerie's best efforts to keep her on the straight and narrow.
And you're doing all right in terms of your living condition and being able to provide?
Yes.
Okay, good. And they are doing all right in school?
Yeah, they doing okay.
Okay, we'll work on that.
But-
Okay ain't good enough.
I mean, they doing good
B?
compared to most of
B minus?
They're doing good. They are.
I gotta hear at least a B minus average.
They doing good.
All right, because you have C students, and if they do real good, they get B minuses.
Yeah.
So I'm not one that says everybody's supposed to get A's and B's to consider it good. But I do think everybody should be able to get a C average, and if you focus and you're a C student, you should get a B minus.
Yeah.
There it is. I'm a B student, always was in school. Every now and then I'd get a B plus when I had to prove something to the bougie kids who thought they were smarter than me because I was from the project. I said, I got to prove something this. I see they think they smarter than me. I think I'm going to prove something this semester. Boom, all A's. Now, y'all understand what it is now? All right, now fine. Y'all get back to that. Let me do what I do.
Yeah, you lay off.
Right. Then I come back, y'all say I'm what? So use that as motivation too when people try and talk about you because of where your background is. Why are you suing her today, your daughter?
I'm suing her because, she asked me to get a car in my name so she can be able to drive to work. Her job, she's not able to get public transportation to her job. So at first I'm like, no, because I'm already paying for a car already in my name. So she begged me, and I end up, giving in. So
Was she doing all right with life, and she could afford it at that time?
Yes,
and
yes,
was living a productive
yes.
life?
Yes, she was.
Well, yeah, you're supposed to. I recommend that.
Yes.
I'm not telling you what you're supposed to do, but I recommend that parents who have children who are doing their best trying to get started in life, you got to co-sign for something.
Yeah, and she, like I say, she asked me, and I said, okay. So we ended up getting a brand new 2017 Elantra by Hyundai, right? And she was paying good on it. I can't say she never missed a payment. She was paying good. I didn't have no worries. Then I get this letter in the mail. I get her calling me, telling me to go down. Her car was repossessed. And I'm looking like, repossessed? And we went down. She wanted to get her things out the car. So, other words, she wasn't going to be paying nothing else to get the car back. So she wanted her things out the car. And we went there. She got her things. I got her letter stating how much she owed on her car and where she was behind, and that I have evidence on page 2 I can show you where she was, making these payments.
How much this is currently due? Have you had to pay?
The amount was $10,858.
$10,000 is what had to come out your pocket?
Excuse me?
$10,000 had to come out your pocket, or you was liable for?
Yes.
Plaintiff Valerie Warren is suing her daughter, who admits that she ran the streets as a teen, despite Valerie's best efforts to keep her on the straight and narrow.
Young lady, what do you say to this?
Well, she knew what I was kind of going through at the time, because I was dealing with someone that was helping me out a lot, and they were paying the bills, doing this and doing that.
They were?
Yes. But we ended up splitting up. So at the time that me and that person split up, it got a little, rough for me, because when you're used to somebody doing so much for you, then when you're stuck by yourself, it kind of put me in a position where I had to choose from paying rent to paying car notes. And that's kind of how I fell behind a little bit.
So you want to lay the burden on her. She's worked all her life to support you guys, move you all out of inner city poverty and suburbs, and then help you as many parents do and perhaps should. I can't tell certain parents what they should or shouldn't do, but perhaps, and this is the thanks she gets. You won't even pursue a way to repay her. That's all I'm holding you accountable for now, is pursuing a way to take care of your family responsibilities. Yes, you need a car for your family, since it's you and the children. Yes, she has provided that opportunity. And secondly, when you got the car, he was still with you?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, because I was going to say, why would you get a $32,000 car by yourself and when you just had a man who had money leave? I understand the predicament he put you in. Get out of that predicament. But otherwise, I do have to grant your mother the judgment. Thank you for not lying, and you did a good job because you got a daughter who didn't come in here lying, and she did give me a reasonable explanation. That is a very reasonable explanation, but take care of your business. Okay. All right?
And
judgment.
Yes, she's not my only kids. I have 4 kids, 2 with double master degrees, and he been in, my oldest son been in the service. He did his time. Now he have his own business, which is called MOMS, which it stands for Morals Over Money, and he's doing good in it. And my daughter, she has her own business. Plus, she's doing good. She's in her field where she was in. She's in her field of work, Atlanta, where she went to school for her master's degrees. And I want her to go, and do the same. I want her to get her medical license and RN. Because she's a good person, and I know she cares for everyone. She's not good. She where she works now. She's doing a great job.
And I felt that. That's why I didn't give her too much of a hard time. Have a good day. Judgment for the plaintiff, $5,000.
Thank you for always being there. And I did not try to do that intentionally, as far as not paying a car note or whatever. But I just hope that we can just continue to go forward.
We can. You my daughter, and I'm always there for you.